Hi, everyone. I'm Rena Ninan. Thank you for joining us. We begin with breaking news in the Paul Manafort trial. Jurors have sent the judge another note. I want to get right to our Paula Reid, who's outside the courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. Paula, what can you tell us?
Well, Reno, it's unlikely we're going to get a verdict today. This note was about scheduling. One of the jurors has requested that they be able to break by 5 p.m. because they have an event tonight. The judge said that he will reconvene the jurors around 4:50 today to decide what time to come back on Monday. So that tells us it is very unlikely that we will get an answer in this case today. It's likely these deliberations will continue into next week. Now, another interesting development we've had this afternoon is that the judge heard some motions, some requests from the media to unseal the names of the jurors in this trial. And he said that he would not do that. He said this is one of the few cases, one or two cases in his entire career, where he will not make public the names of the jury. He said that is because he has received threats and criticism as a result of this case, and he does not want to scare anyone else off of serving on a future jury. So we will not get those names. It's unclear whether or not the media will appeal that decision, but a lot of action. Even though we don't have a verdict today, there's been a lot going on here in Alexandria.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we forget just how high level the security risk can be for some of these trials, Paula. It's a good reminder to us all. You know, if this trial does stretch into next week, do you think it's bad news for the prosecution?
So far, I think it's all in the reasonable time frame for a jury of 12 people to try to decide 18 different counts about 3 totally different crimes. I mean, this is going to take a while. And yesterday, the questions taught us a few things. One is that there's likely debate in that jury room about reasonable doubt. What that means, it appears that there's got to be some sort of discourse about whether or not the government has actually met its burden in this case. That's going to take up more time. They also had some questions about very technical terms that were used in this case. That's also a signal that they're being very methodical, very deliberative. That will likely take time. These are very complicated charges. He is charged with filing false tax returns, failing to file reports of his foreign bank accounts, and then he has several counts related to different loans and fraudulent documentation. Rena, there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of physical documents. There's a lot of testimony they heard. It's going to take time for them to go through something like this.
It won't be quick. And, you know, the president has also weighed in on this trial as well earlier today. I want to play some of his soundbite from you.
I think the whole Manafort trial is very sad when you look at what's going on there. I think it's a very sad day for our country. He worked for me for a very short period of time. But you know what? He happens to be a very good person. And I think it's very sad what they've done to Paul Manafort.
The president's very passionate about this one. We know the Manafort's banking on a presidential pardon. What do you make of that?
Well, this is what the president has been trying to do since Manafort was indicted. First, he tries to distance himself from his former campaign chairman. He said, look, you only worked for me for a short period of time. And 5 months is not an extended period of time, but it was a very crucial period of time that he was running his presidential campaign. But he wants to distance himself from Manafort and make it clear that this case has nothing to do with him or the campaign. The second thing the president is trying to do there is paint Manafort as a victim. He's setting the stage for the possibility, if he has to grant him a pardon or a commutation, he wants to frame Manafort in the same way that he has framed Sheriff Joe Arpaio or Scooter Libby or other people that he has granted clemency to. He is trying to focus on people he would argue were the targets of politically motivated prosecution. So he wants Manafort to kind of be one of a pattern. And I think I've seen the president repeatedly answer questions about Manafort in this way. A distance and then try to evoke sympathy for Manafort.
Interesting that you picked up on that strategy, Paula. Okay, breaking news from the Manafort trial. We might not get a verdict today. They have requested jury requests to leave by 5 p.m. You know, Paul, I can't blame them. There are only few events available, few summer Fridays left on the calendar. Good for them for trying to push if they don't think that they can get a verdict tonight.
That's true. We'll see what time they want to come back on Monday. That may give us a clue. If they come in early, maybe they only have a few hours left. But if they're willing to come in the afternoon, I think that's going to be a sign that they have a lot of work ahead of them.
Oh, interesting. Interesting on the timing there. Paula Reid, thank you very much for joining us.